Welcome to the debate. Our focus today is on the tectonic plates shifting, really right under the Los Angeles Lakers organization, the high-stakes acquisition of Luka Doncic at the trade deadline. I mean, it was heralded as this franchise-altering move meant to secure the next decade. But what it's actually done, paradoxically, is create this immediate and I think potentially explosive conflict. It's a clash between the desperate demand of winning a championship right now and the need for long-term organizational health.
Yeah, the stakes have never been higher, and you're right. We are talking about two timelines that just don't seem to reconcile, forcing what could be a single, really agonizing decision. So the central question, and this is rooted in all the reports we're seeing about the frustration and urgency from their two biggest stars, is this. Should the Lakers just ignore the allure of future stability and execute an immediate, painful, all-in kind of trade? I mean, sacrificing established depth and team familiarity just to maximize the championship window today?
I argue that the organization has no choice but to be bold. I really do. Failure to execute an immediate structural move risks fracturing the tenuous trust that's been built over years, and ultimately you're just wasting the precious, irreplaceable remaining peak years of LeBron James. The pressure here demands action, not patience.
See, I come at it from a different way. Rash, painful moves that are driven purely by that short-term urgency. Well, that's exactly how good organizations end up dismantling long-term value. The arrival of Doncic by itself inherently extends their contention timeline. The front office, I think, should prioritize maximizing the synergy of this new superstar pairing before recklessly mortgaging the future that Doncic at only 26 represents.
The Lakers are operating in a reality that is defined by LeBron James's clock. I mean, this is not a normal franchise timeline. The material we have is explicit here. LeBron reportedly views the Doncic move, for all its potential, as something that has disrupted his personal championship timeline. And that's created real, measurable tension with the organization. This isn't about minor roster tweaks. It's a fundamental disagreement on the timeline for success.
That's an interesting point, though I would frame it a little differently. We have to acknowledge the tension, sure, but we also have to contextualize it. While LeBron is, understandably urgent, the narrative isn't purely antagonistic. We know from the source material that Rich Paul also emphasized LeBron's deep appreciation for his 8-year partnership with Jeannie Buss and Rob Pelinka. That history, that goodwill, it provides a crucial safety valve that allows for measured decision-making, not crisis management.
ESPN, he made LeBron's mindset crystal clear. He wants to compete for championships now, not participate in, and I'm quoting here, transitional seasons disguised as progress. If the Laker front office is seen as hedging, preserving assets while LeBron is still delivering at this level, they risk profound disengagement.
But you're basing the entire strategy on the shortest possible timeline available.
I am basing it on the highest leverage point. And what makes this situation so untenable is that Luka Doncic, despite being only 26, and yes, the future of the franchise, is completely aligned with LeBron's immediate urgency. Reports indicate he has made it clear to the front office that he has, and I quote, no interest in a patient, slow-building approach. He wants to win immediately. So when you have two superstars, one operating under a fixed deadline and the other demanding immediate proof of concept, standing still becomes an organizational betrayal.
I understand the gravity of that confluence of demands, but the response can't be reckless.
It has to be bold. The front office is under immense pressure to fully commit to a win-now roster. And that commitment, it requires making the painful decision to sacrifice what the material calls depth and familiarity. Role players like Austin Reeves and Gabe Vincent, while respected, are exactly the kind of pieces that must be packaged to secure an immediate, identity-changing structural fit. You have to target a player who instantly fixes a systemic weakness.
Like a Nick Claxton.
Exactly. A move for Claxton would be the ultimate signal of an all-in approach for immediate success. He provides elite rim protection, defensive versatility, traits this team desperately needs, and he immediately changes the entire calculus of their defense in a playoff setting. You trade two good role players for one truly indispensable structural piece. That is simply the cost of maximizing the present.
I'm sorry, but I just don't buy that the immediate sacrifice of those core pieces is the mandated outcome here.
The dramatic extension of the championship window provided by Doncic, the man who can deliver 5, maybe more, prime years, that shouldn't be jeopardized by rash decisions driven purely by LeBron's short-term pressure. The strategy that's described in the material is far more nuanced than just simple recklessness. It's a delicate balancing act.
And I would contend that a delicate balancing act is just another term for hesitation when you're facing a fixed deadline.
I disagree because the balance serves a strategic purpose. The organization is focused on going all in today without completely mortgaging tomorrow, and that explicitly includes securing future draft assets for the post-LeBron era. This duality, it contradicts the idea that they must abandon all solvency. Furthermore, let's look closely at the proposed target, Nick Claxton. He is cited not just as an immediate impact player, but also as a long-term development piece, especially if they can acquire him at a discounted value.
But that long-term upside is merely a pleasant side effect. The urgency is the driver.
No, I would argue that Claxton's age and his contract situation explicitly show the front office is still prioritizing future upside alongside present value. They are not merely acquiring a rental, they're attempting to solve a structural problem with a player who actually fits both timelines. And this approach, it fundamentally undermines the case for just gutting the team today. The Lakers risk creating a bigger, more complex void by trading crucial, trusted role players like Reeves and Vincent. They'd sacrifice the very depth and familiarity needed to weather the attrition of a long season just to appease this immediate urgency, which in turn could actually slow down the whole goal of contention.
Let's focus on the psychological cost here, specifically this idea of fractured trust. You seem to downplay the tension, but the growing concern about direction and timing, combined with LeBron's very clear urgency, means that every single decision from this point forward carries massive consequences. The Lakers are defined by this partnership. They have to honor his championship urgency. If they hesitate, what does fractured trust actually look like on the court?
It looks like an unnecessary panic trade.
No, it looks like a lack of conviction that permeates the entire organization. When the front office is seen as hedging its bets, by preserving a distant draft pick or holding on to a moderately priced role player like Reeves, they signal to LeBron that their financial future is more important than his championship legacy. That lack of commitment, it can translate directly into player disengagement, passive play during the late season grind, a failure of leadership. Losing Austin Reeves is a roster subtraction. Fracturing LeBron's trust is an organizational collapse.
I'm just not convinced by that line of reasoning because it leaps from perceived tension to a guaranteed crisis. The acquisition of Doncic already dramatically extends the Lakers' championship window. You're assuming that the window can only be maximized by trading a trusted piece right now. Why not allow the Doncic and James dynamic to just develop naturally over the next few months? This avoids making decisions based purely on emotional urgency rather than, strategic necessity. A poorly executed, panic-driven trade can derail a season much faster than holding on to a familiar rotation.
But the decision to acquire Doncic wasn't enough to quell the urgency. It escalated it. They acquired the superstar. Now they have to acquire the necessary structural pieces to make the two superstars function at a championship level immediately. If you wait a few months, you burn valuable time on the LeBron clock, and you signal to the market that you're unsure of your strategy, which damages future trade leverage. The time for development is over.
Well, that brings us directly to the value of depth versus the power of a star addition. If the goal is immediate success, why would you trade reliable, known quantities like Reeves and Vincent, players who already have experience in the system in the locker room, for a player who still needs to integrate? Claxton, while providing that elite rim protection, introduces a completely unknown quantity into the chemistry equation.
Because the known quantity, the current depth, is demonstrably insufficient to win a title. We're talking about swapping good depth for functional indispensability. Claxton brings traits the Lakers desperately need in high-stakes playoff moments. That's elite rim protection and defensive versatility. This isn't just about adding star power. It's about reshaping the team's entire identity and fixing critical structural weaknesses.
Explain the structural weakness precisely then.
The lack of a true athletic vertical threat that can consistently anchor the defense and guard in space.
Right now, that forces Anthony Davis to expend excessive energy on rim protection, which drains his offensive efficiency and frankly increases his injury risk. Claxton allows AD to roam, to operate as that help side menace, and provides true versatility. A single defensive force can reshape how opponents attack the paint, which is a far greater immediate payoff than maintaining familiarity with role players whose ceiling is demonstrably not high enough for championship defense against teams like, say, Denver or Boston. You trade familiarity for functional indispensability in the most critical phase of the season.
But that functional indispensability comes at a cost of availability. You need Reeves and Vincent to absorb 82 games, plus the early playoff rounds. The lack of reliable bench scoring, ball handling, and perimeter defense that Reeves provides, it can't just be covered by Claxton's rim protection. If you have no one to reliably run the second unit or hold up on the perimeter, your entire defensive scheme collapses anyway. The Lakers core needs chemistry, and trading depth compromises this, potentially slowing down the very goal of immediate contention, because your superstars are exhausted by February.
We have to assume the superstars, particularly Doncic, can elevate the remaining role players. The systemic flaw of lacking rim protection is a ceiling restriction. The lack of secondary scoring is a floor issue. You have to raise the ceiling first to compete.
Let's turn now to the organizational strategy, which is where this debate becomes truly complex. You keep challenging the value of maintaining stability, but the source material is clear that the front office is seeking a solution that achieves both goals. You argue Claxton's long-term peace aspect is secondary, but I believe it is the key to understanding management's objective.
I'm not convinced, because if they are truly serious about an all-in approach for immediate success, then the future upside of Claxton has to be irrelevant. The pressure is on the front office precisely because the margin for error is shrinking fast, and the objective is to maximize the championship window with LeBron and Luka. Being all in means using every future chip available, including unprotected first-round picks, to acquire the best player available, regardless of their age.
But the organization is not abandoning planning. The text explicitly mentions the need to secure future draft assets for the post-LeBron era. That proves the organization cannot abandon long-term planning entirely. This means their strategy is inherently dual-focused, to offer both present value and future upside in one move. Therefore, any transaction should be judged by how well it serves this delicate balance, not just the impulsive demands for immediate success.
And I contend that is an impossible standard when the demands of your two primary players are mutually exclusive to patience. You cannot simultaneously satisfy the demands of an urgent LeBron James